shiny, happy people. It is January 12th. I have one more exam to write, and finally, this extremely long semester is going to be finished, which is awesome because it has gone on forever. So, um, yay, so close, really, really close. I wanted to talk to you guys. Many years ago, I co-wrote an incredible little book called Life, Living in Fulfillment Every Day with my friend Anne-Marie Greenwood. And it was an inspirational self-help book to help people live in happiness and fulfillment every day. And it didn't start out um, as the I guess the final form. When we first started it, we actually thought we were going to write like a calendar book where you open up a day, and every day there's like an inspirational message, and we were going to use not just one word, but like two words and how they played off one another. And we started with A and was working our way through the alphabet. So one of the words, and I can't remember the pairings because this was 15 years ago. One of the words that started with A, there was awareness, but one of the ones I want to talk about is authenticity today. And I want to actually pair authenticity with judgment. So I had and it wasn't meant to be an experiment, but it was an interesting experiment as it turned out. I posted a photo of me with glasses on, and I said, "Ooh, check out my studious look." And what was interesting is that that picture got, like 40 some odd likes, which, I'm sure for a lot of Facebook people, that's not a huge amount of likes, but 40 likes nonetheless. And then a couple days later, I was at a friend's house for a get-together, and you had to pose, and I'm going to say pose against the photo wall because you couldn't just stand there. They wouldn't let you just stand there. You had to act silly, act crazy, while somebody was basically just going with the camera the whole time. And at one point, they're like, stick your chest out, stick your butt up. So I was like, okay, I could do that. And it was just really silly, and it was really funny. And the resulting, it's a montage of like three or four different photos, but really on my camera, there's like 200 photos. And they're all various forms of ridiculous. But in the one photo, it was a very exaggerated, accentuated pose of chest out, butt up. And the result was, I called it my Jessica Rabbit look. And so I posted that photo and said, yo, hey, check out my Jessica Rabbit look. And what was really, really interesting is that picture got half the likes of the studious student look with the glasses. And what's always been intriguing to me is none of us are linear. None of us have one dimension or one flat side to our personality. We are multidimensional. There is a lot of different colors, a lot of different tones, shades, right, and hues to who we are and what makes us unique and authentic. And for me, years and years ago, I have a tattoo of a dragon, and the dragon is holding an Om on my shoulder. And that tattoo represented like the dichotomy of who I am. I have this powerful mythical creature, prone to fire and mystery and magic. And then I have this other side of my personality, the Om, which is grounded and rooted, and the focusing on the positive and that kind of aspect of who I am. And I got the tattoo to represent that, I am multidimensional. There are two parts to who I am. Many, many, many years ago, I had my mother-in-law come over to babysit my children. And my husband and I were going on a date, and it was the first date we'd had in like forever. And my kids were not small. My youngest was I don't know, I want to say 4 or 5, 5, 6 maybe at the time, and we were happy to just get out. And it was very gracious that the mother-in-law was coming over and watching all three of my children, so we could escape. And I walked out of the bedroom in a rather low-cut shirt, and it was, I'm going to say it was a sexy look, but it wasn't an outrageous look by any stretch of the imagination. And my mother-in-law turned to me and said, basically, are you really seriously wearing that? And I looked at her and I said, yeah. And she said, more or less something along the lines of, as a mother, you should not be dressed like that. And I remember talking to my children afterwards, especially my older boys, and saying, you know what, guys, I need you to understand that what your grandmother said was not okay. As a woman, I am your mom, but I am also a wife, and I like dressing in a manner that makes me feel good about myself, makes me feel sexy and desirable as a woman, and that would also appeal to my husband. And, I made sure my children understood that there are many different aspects to being a woman, and it is not just one. So it is not just the studious look. It can also be the Jessica Rabbit look. It can be playful and silly. It can be baggy sweatpants one day. So the problem is what I see is when people are trying to be authentic, right, there tends to be judgment that comes along with it. That mock experiment that ended up being an experiment was an eye-opener for me, because people basically, with their likes, judged how they perceived me. And it was okay to perceive me in one aspect. It was not so much okay to perceive me in another. And I remember having a conversation with fellow writers and saying, I'm really frustrated in my writing. I write erotica. I've written self-help. I've written historical fiction. I tend to run the gamut right now. And it reminds me of actors or actresses who feel pigeonholed to, like Meg Ryan, always playing the sweet girl next door, and then finally going, I can't take this anymore, and completely busting out into a completely different direction. And the public was not accepting of it. They didn't see Meg Ryan in that role, didn't want to see Meg Ryan in a different role, and they were harsh in their criticism and judgments of that decision and who she felt she was. So I think it's really interesting as a society. None of us are one-dimensional, right? We have so many different aspects of our personality, and there are times when I'd like to do a blog post and swear and cuss up and down and just be, profanity laden everywhere, right? I firmly believe, I have the soul of a sailor. I enjoy profanity. I think it expresses a great deal when used with feeling. But the majority of people are not accepting of that, so I choose not to do that. Now, as a public relations student, somebody who wants to be a professional, I'm limited in what I can say, despite being an erotica writer. That's still a part of who I am. But being a professional is also a part of who I am. And I think it's just, we need to remember when we look at somebody and they present a face to the world, that's one face. But behind that, there is a kaleidoscope of different colors, a kaleidoscope of different personalities, character traits, passions. And I think we need to respect that. I think we need to respect that in one another, that you can be one way to one group of people, but you can be somebody else to another group of people. And I think we all need to accept that in order to be a well-rounded individual, that we're all going to have those different attributes. We're all going to act differently or say different things around different people. You can be one way with your family, you can be one with your really good friends, you can be one way with your coworkers, but each one of those is still who we are. So that's all. I just wanted to throw that out there because I think it's really, really interesting. And I think we need to be more accepting of everybody and everybody's differences and what makes them unique, what makes them vibrant, what makes them colorful, what makes them fun to hang around with, or somebody to live up to or to aspire to, right? So that was it. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend, and just food for thought, authenticity and judgment. Can we be authentic without judgment? Should we be authentic without judgment?